Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about the late start time. If you're tuning into my Facebook Live for the first time on Mr. Lamin Tamba um, on Mr. Lamin Tamba page, and you're tuning into this live stream, which is going to talk about different areas of the Gambia in terms of governance, the direction that the country is going, the situation we face today in the Gambia, which is by all indications, we have a country in crisis. And if you look at it in every angle, whatever perspective, whatever take you have, whatever view you have of the current situation in the Gambia, all we have is a state of complete hopelessness. And I personally think what we have now, right now in the Gambia, is not just a governance issue. We've gone beyond the issue of governance in the Gambia completely. What we have today is a state of the Gambia that's losing its territory, a state of that has lost its sovereignty, a state that's at the mercy of greedy people out there. There's a gang, a clique of people who've got Gambia by the scruff of the neck and doing what they wish or what they want to do with the country. And the only way Gambia is going to actually have a better deal out of this is if we stand up and look at the national cause that we face today. We fight for the interest of the country. Now, there are very many topics that I want to discuss today. Majority of them have unfortunately become survival issue, our bread and butter issues, stuff we talk at the dinner table, stuff that affects people directly. Previously, when I came live, we spoke about issues that affected the nation, how poorly governed Gambia was. Today, this Facebook Live as we speak, Gambian people are actually being affected directly as a result of government activity or as a result of external interference with the day-to-day activities of our country. You know, all these things happen. Every country has got some sort of interference. Like they always say, no man is an island, no country is an island, no country global village. However, that level of interference has got to get a limit. It must never ever go beyond a point where the Gambian population will suffer for the benefit of outsiders. The Gambian population would suffer for the benefit of pigs. The Gambian population would suffer for the benefit of dogs. That's where we are today. Now, I'm going to talk about various aspects, and I would like to start with bread and butter issues, life and death situations, dinner table talk. We will start with Gunjur and the environmental damage that's taking place in Gunjur, and the blatant disregard of the Gambia government in terms of implementing environmental responsibilities when it comes to the Chinese fish meal factories. Now, I say this and people think I'm politicizing it, but people now know that I'm not politicizing these issues. And I've had to put it in the crudest of ways in order to be able to get people, Gambians, to understand how belittled we are by our own government, how diminutive we appear before people, outsiders who come into the Gambia, and we are basically giving up for these people to exploit us, to abuse us, to physically assault us. Yes, physically assault us, and I'll come to that today. A colleague of mine, I used to work in the medical and health services, which has some overlaps with the National Environment Agency, NEA. I'll come to that in a minute. I just want to introduce the topics. So we will look at Gunjur and its environment, the environment around Gunjur, which obviously The topic of conversation today is how our fisheries have been depleted, how our environment has been damaged deliberately, how our government is failing to take responsibility to correct these things, how our fragile ecosystem has been obliterated by the negligent act of our Gambia government. And then we'll look at how enforcement agents and the community class action suit or community action that was intended to come into force against the Chinese fish meal company Golden Lead, how the effort that the community put in place to hold this company accountable was thwarted by the Gambia current Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, who intervened on behalf of a Chinese company at the detriment of the Gunjur community, the Gambian community. We talk about Gunjur. This is beyond Gunjur. It's a Gunjur community, but this is affecting Gambia. A lot of our fish comes from Gunjur. If it doesn't come from Gunjur, some of the fish from Gunjur affects fish from other parts of the country. If the Gunjur coastline is damaged, a Gambian coastline is damaged. We should not sit idly by and watch the people of Gunjur struggle alone to deal with this. This is a national issue. All these things are like cancers or like many other diseases that affect the human body, that infect the human body. They start small and they spread, and then they spread, and then they become malignant to a point where the host dies or suffers serious damage as a result of this infection. So now we started with Gunjur. We sat idly by and allowed Gunjur people to get arrested, to get charged, to get silenced by the current vice president and her government. That spread to Combo Mandinari, which is facing the same problem from either Golden Lead or a similar Chinese company that's set up in the Gambia and damaging the environment in Mandinari, in the Combo Mandinari. And now they've transferred that activity, they've expanded to Batukunku. I want us to understand one thing. This is why I said in 2017, let's get up, stand up and fight these things immediately. Nip them in the bud. If we do not nip them in the bud, we'll end up fighting a war that we can't win. So now that war front has taken a new shape. Not only has it gone beyond Gunjur, not only has it gone to Combo Mandinari, not only did it expand to Batukunku, it has gone into our deep waters, it has come into our estuaries and into our small rivers, which act as nurseries to feed the big mouth of the River Gambia and to feed the vast Atlantic Ocean. You see what I said from the beginning? If we stood up with the people of Gunjur and highlighted some of these activities that are taking place, that are damaging our fish stock, that are damaging our environment, that are damaging our forest or mangrove cover in the Gunjur end, the Mandinari end, and now to Batukunku end, if we all stood up when it started, this would not happen. And we all know now that not only is it happening, our government has become powerless in terms of enforcing waste transfer responsibilities of the Golden Lead. Now, in modern worlds or in organized democracies or in organized governments, you don't even grant a license to a company to operate without adequate waste transfer facilities. That company must demonstrate its environmental responsibility, its business responsibility, and it must demonstrate that wherever it sets up, that the community is not at a disadvantage, that the community that it operates from is not damaged. And we've seen some of the waste dumped near Kitty, of all places. Kitty has had some of this waste material from the Golden Lead and some other fish meal factory being dumped in Kitty, and the water has been totally polluted. All right, and the Kitty case is well known. The government knows the Kitty issue very well. I forwarded it to them. The director of environment is aware. They've visited Kitty a few times, and Kitty's one is even worse because Kitty's one is very close to people's bellies. It's very close to the water supply in Kitty, underground water supply. It's damaging. And people go to these areas to scavenge or to look for other things. They're damaging the farms. They're damaging the arable land. There is danger that this waste material from a fish meal factory or a factory in Gunjur is likely going to contaminate our underground water sources. It'll contaminate it. And once it contaminates our underground water sources, we're going to have people drinking this already contaminated water, polluted water, toxic water into their streams, and then people will start manifesting some health problems in and around Kitty area. Gunjur is where the main source is, but this is spreading now. It's going to other parts of the Gambia right now. And this is why I want to touch on this subject. Now, when the people of Gunjur wanted to take action against the Golden Lead factory, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia and the National Environment Agency intervened and stopped this action going ahead to the courts to stop the Golden Lead factory from operating without adequately maintaining their resources, without adequately maintaining their waste material. The waste water, the waste oil, or the already polluted or used water that comes from their factory should have no right to go directly to our water sources. It'll have no right to be dumped into our ocean, into our seas, into our lagoons. One, they're damaging the water, the fish nurseries in those lagoons. Number two, they're polluting our water to a point where we're seeing fish getting beached around the end. Fish dying on the coast just like that because the water is probably being damaged. There's no oxygen in water. Everything that the fish was needing to survive in the ocean or in those lagoons has been damaged, destroyed by that water, polluted water. We have got to a point where we now have to get up and act. Now, there are sovereignty issues as well with this Golden Lead issue. We saw them plant a Chinese flag on Gunjur Beach, which means they are in total control of that territory of theirs that the government has given them. Companies sometimes have flags from the countries they come from alongside the national flag of the country they're operating in. That's fine, but it'll be on a pedestal in front of their building or in front of their offices, not on sovereign land, sovereign Gambian land. You cannot go to sovereign Gambian land and stamp your stall there as a Chinese territory, putting the Chinese flag on sovereign land, Gambian land, which is not private. Now, what they've done there is preposterous, and I cannot understand how they got away with it. But I know why they got away with it, because they've got this chip on their shoulders. They have this feeling of invincibility right now. They can do anything and get away with it because our government isn't interested in tracking this and stopping these things happening. This is why we're suffering right now, brothers and sisters. We've allowed these people to set roots, and these roots have become so big, they're spread kilometers around the Combos. They've gone to Batukunku, they've gone to Combo Mandinari. What should have been a small surgical operation to uproot these people, to stop their illegal activities, to stop the destruction of our environment, has now become a widespread activity. We now have to have this counter-offensive in different fronts, in multiple fronts, to stop the Golden Lead factory. Now, what annoyed me the most is this week or last week. Now, people reported the fact that there's an open pipe, and this is not disputed. There's an open pipe that runs from the Golden Lead factory, discharging waste directly into the lagoons in Gunjur. There's no filtration. The water is not clear. The water was not treated before it went into those lagoons. The water is as murky, it's as dirty, it's as polluted, and possibly as toxic as it comes, dumped straight onto our fish to damage our fish stock, to damage our nurseries that supply the sea with various species of fish in our country. Gambia is renowned for various species of fishes in our country. Now, this Chinese company is damaging it. Now, I said this before, time and time again, and I'll repeat this, because until we start putting these matters in crude language, in absolutely disgusting language, in irritating language, language that twists knives into our wounds, people are not going to believe what is going on right now. And what's going on right now is the Chinese fish meal factories taking our food right from our mouths and feeding their pigs. And in turn, these pigs are slaughtered for the high-end Chinese market, the restaurants where people can go and buy pork, because pork is a high-end stuff. It's premium food in the Chinese market. So look at it this way. Gambia government is allowing our people to starve to death. Our people to starve and get malnourished and probably die as a result of poor nutrition, so that the Chinese can take our fish to go and feed pigs in China. There's not even pigs in Gambia right now. So the Gambia government is allowing a Chinese fish meal company to harvest our fish at large scale, unethical, illegal ways of fishing, to harvest our fish, take it from our sea, from our own mouths. We've seen Tangier struggle to catch any fish from our sea recently. 3 pieces of low-grade fish in the Gambia that never used to be lucrative to our Gambian fishermen. Some of our fishermen used to give away these fish we locally call yaiboy, tiny little bongers that nobody wanted in the past. The fishermen sold for next to nothing, $5, $10. You get 6 of them for $5, $10, $15 at most in the Gambia. Tiny little fishes. You cannot get them these days. You go to the market, they're $100 for a bunch of them. 3, 4 for $100. Something that was $5, $10 just 4 years ago. Now, I've said this before. I do not mind Chinese people eating them. I have no problem with Chinese people. I love them. I love all mankind. I love humanity. I don't mind the Chinese, the Senegalese, and the French who are exploiting our fish, consuming this fish for themselves. I don't mind these people entering deals with Gambia government to fish in our waters, our rich waters, previously virgin waters, to feed their populations. I do not mind that at all. At the right prices, the right deals. Oh, I have no problems with that. I do not mind Senegalese even illegally fishing in our waters so they can eat, if Gambian people are not fishing in those areas so that people can eat. I don't have any problems at all. I'm a lover of mankind. I love humanity. And I would hate it to know that we've got abundance of fish in our sea, spoiled when the Senegalese are starving, when the French are starving, when the Chinese are starving. I emphasize French because that EU deal, for all you know, is going to France under the cover, because that's how France operates. France is always sinister with Africans. France is always unfair with Africans. France has tucked her fangs into African flesh for 400-500 years, and it doesn't look like France has got any intention of withdrawing those fangs from us. They've poisoned the African person with venom time and time again. They've killed African people time and time again, because that's how the French operate. In their view, the black man, the African man, is an entity. You can disregard the life of Africans. Guess who's helping them in this? The African man himself. The French will help operate behind the scenes. Yet the people who front their nefarious activities, their grotesque activities on the African continent, are the black people themselves. The black people front it. The black people carry out the arrest and assassination and the signing of these preposterous, unconscionable deals. They use us against us. Black versus black. Divide and rule. Separate. Let them bicker. Let them fight. And if we can't do that, we infect them with disease. Let them die and we exploit their resources. We send troops. France has got bases. There are troops on every single colony of theirs in the past. And as you see now, Gambia has been annexed to Senegal. Guinea-Bissau has been annexed to Senegal. And there's nothing we're going to do to escape it as long as President Adama Barrow is the president of the Republic of the Gambia. I can tell you that now. This is why that man infuriates me. This is why I get boiling every single time I discuss the issue of sovereignty. You guys cannot see what I'm seeing. Majority have seen it now. when we started fighting this injustice, loss of our territory, loss of our sovereignty, loss of our rights, exploitation of our resources. We were called all sorts of names. Nobody wanted to hear us. Or we were butthurt because Jammeh left. Or we were rebels from Casamance. Or we were this, we were that. Yet I saw this. 6 months after Jammeh flew out, I wrote a post on Facebook. I wasn't doing partisan politics at that time. I wasn't a member of the APRC at that time. That post is there. It generated about 600, 700 comments at the time because people were blind as bats at the time. People didn't see what I saw. Exactly what we're seeing today now. For the sake of pigs, Gambian people can starve. For the sake of pigs, Gambian people can get malnourished. For the sake of pigs, Gambia government inspectors, my colleagues in the Department of State for Health, the National Environment Agency staff went to investigate the direct discharge of effluents into our lagoons. They went to inspect it to ensure it was not fake news from the people of Gunjur. When the person went to inspect this carnage, destruction of our environment, obliteration of our nurseries of fishes, the Chinese set their dogs on a Gambia government official and bit this man and punched his skin like nothing we've seen before. This has never been done before. There were arguments, there were fights, there were pushes and pulls between government officials and members of the public. Never have I heard in Gambia's recent history that a company, a foreign company for that matter, set dogs on a government inspector who's gone to inspect the activities of a company in terms of their environmental responsibility, in terms of their waste transfer license, in terms of the destruction of our livelihoods. I've never heard that. Brothers and sisters, this hurts. On my own land, people are invading, exploiting, and now they're assaulting the lives of our government officials, and they're doing that to our people with impunity. Brothers and sisters, are we going to allow this? How long is this going to continue? How long are we going to allow this? And this is reverberating everywhere. It's affecting all regions. It's affecting all of us because the Senegalese are doing the same. The extra contingent of forces, which is not economic, which is occupying Gambian land illegally, is shooting Gambians, killing Gambians, seizing Gambian trucks, assuming Gambian policing roles, something that is not part of their mandate. First and foremost, they're occupying our land illegally. Secondly, they're assuming our policing roles. Thirdly, they're seizing our economic activities in the country, seizing our lorries, seizing our trucks, seizing our wood. And today, as we speak, they seized a Gambia prison service truck that's going to get firewood to be able to feed prisoners, to be able to run the Gambia prisons. They're going to get fuel. Firewood is one of the biggest sources of fuel in the Gambia. Senegalese forces put those, what do you call it? What do you call it against? Strips on the road and punctured all the wheels, all the tires on a vehicle belonging to Gambia prison services or immigration services. They went to get firewood, logs of wood to be able to come and run their services in the country. And a foreign illegally occupying force, an illegal occupation force, has destroyed material belonging to a Gambia security force outfit. It's happening right now. It was happening real time in Buyam this afternoon, this evening. They stopped a Gambia immigration or prison service vehicle. They put strips in front, shattered all its tires because they thought, or they're carrying wood without a license. Why would you put strips in front of those vehicles and damage its tires? A vehicle belonging to Gambia government for the purpose of running a government institution, a government service. Senegalese forces have got that temerity, that audacity to stand up and destroy Gambian material, sovereign material, material belonging to the government. Why is this happening to us? This is ridiculous. This is destroying my being. I'm getting seriously angry and action will be taken. Believe me, brothers and sisters, I only live on foreign land. That's why I'm not advocating for protests right now. But I'm planning a way of galvanizing people, including myself, on Gambian soil to start taking action against the government, not only in respect of the Golden Lead, not only in respect of illegal occupation, but also our health service where our young sisters, mothers, daughters are dying from from poor maternal health. So now the Chinese set a dog to bite an official from the National Environment Agency who's gone to investigate whether the illegal discharge of effluents from the Golden Lead fish meal factory, illegal discharge of waste into our lagoons, into our rivers, into our ocean was actually taking place. There's a video I've got here of the big, massive pipe emptying directly into the river, and you can see the water is dirty, it's polluted, it's murky, and it's probably toxic, and no wonder the fish around there is dying. So not only are they taking our fish from our hungry people to feed pigs in China, they're also killing the fish deliberately. They're damaging our mangroves, they're damaging our coastline, and our coastline, our beautiful sandy, white, creamy, golden sandy beaches will need reclamation, will need contaminated land treatment in order to be able to look like what it was. Our pristine coastline has now been reduced to nothing but burnt oil. Why are we allowing this? Why should it happen on Gambian soil? Why is this happening to us? In 2020, for God's sake, several years after slavery was abolished, we're still mentally enslaved. We're refusing to be liberated mentally. We're refusing to be proud of our country, to guide our country, to guide our sovereignty jealously. We're giving it all away. After the independence fight of the 50s and 60s, we're now going back and auctioning our country and giving it to people who don't give a damn what the status of a Gambian is, what condition a Gambian lives in, what condition our coastline, our environment, our forests, our mangroves are. We're allowing this to take place right in our faces. We're not taking action. The few people in Gunjur who took action have been charged and they've been silenced. The Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, the most useless Vice President we ever heard, cannot articulate herself in either English or Arabic. She's as devoid of knowledge, even in Arabic, in Quranic teachings. We saw her quote the Quran wrongly and pronounce the verses from the Quran wrongly. She was trying to impress people with her Quranic knowledge. And it fell woefully right before the world. She says the president of the Gambia is there and he's been put there by God. And anyone who opposes the current president of the Gambia is opposing God. I mean, this is the most useless vice president we had. I do not mind the vice president intervening in terms of community relations between them and companies. But you intervene, the community must always win against companies. Communities should always win against individuals. Brothers and sisters, this is a riot. This is riot-inducing material we face right now. Why are we sitting idly by and watching people of Gunjur suffer, watching the entire Combos suffer, watching the entire nation suffer with fish shortages? No fish. Protein from meat is a luxury. It's been premium for a long time in our country. Only a tiny percentage of Gambia can afford meat on a regular basis. Fish used to be the main source of protein for the majority of Gambian families. Not anymore. Not anymore, brothers and sisters. That's become premium too. Something that was given to us naturally. We've been endowed, blessed. Abundance of resources. Not anymore. They've all been decimated. We've been reduced to a subdued people, to an oppressed people, to an intimidated people, to an assaulted bunch of people. Not only are they taking our fish to feed pigs in China, not only are they starving and malnourishing our populations, they're assaulting our officials, setting dogs to bite our government officials mercilessly. Why are we allowing this to happen to us, brothers and sisters? Why are we allowing a foreign company to operate on our land without proper waste management systems and facilities? Why is this happening to us? Why? Why are we allowing this, brothers and sisters? Is it this an insult? Why are we allowing this? Now, I said this time and time again, for me as a person, it doesn't need to affect me as a human being to be able to act. I act because I see another human being needing assistance. I act because I want to help other people stand up for their own rights. These are not privileges, these are rights. A clean environment, clear sources of food supply. We need to have these things. We need to be able to operate in our country commercially, industrially, without interference. And you know what these people are doing? Not only are they taking water supplies from our waters, they're also damaging the nurseries of our fishes that supply the sea, because they're doing double trailers fishing system, double nets, which capture even the little fishes that are supposed to be spared, because those little fishes are supposed to regularly replenish the sea. They're supposed to be source of supply for the rest of the they're supposed to be the source of supply for the Atlantic Ocean, for the mouth of River Gambia, for the River Gambia itself. So those supplies are destroyed, those fish stocks are destroyed. What would we get out of this? Absolutely nothing. We're sitting down, the fish meal factory is assaulting our government officials, destroying our environment, destroying our coastline, and watching. Not anymore. We're going to do something about it. And that's me included on the ground. I'm not going to instigate any protest unless I'm going to be there to join forces with people to beat back this golden lead factory. They know what to do. Waste transfer systems, waste management systems are not sophisticated anymore. They're not sophisticated anymore. You can implement them easily to deal with your waste. The only time water or effluent will be discharged from a factory into the water, underground or the mainstream or our lagoons, is after they've treated the waste and the water is certified clear. And this water should be tested periodically to ensure that the water that is discharged into our lagoons is actually in its right chemistry, H2O. It has to be with no pollutants, no toxicity, zero toxicity. Is this happening in our Gambia today? No. The Golden Lead Factory does what it likes, what Golden Lead Factory wants to do. That's what Golden Lead Factory is doing. Who is there to stop them? Nobody is there to stop them, not the government of the Gambia. They're not interested. In fact, the government of Gambia intervened in favor of the Golden Lead. They stopped the people of Gunjur from taking action to deal with this matter. Yeah? They stopped the people of Gunjur from taking Golden Lead to court. Why? Because the Chinese probably giving them backhanders. The Chinese probably control them. The Chinese are telling them what to do, and the government of the Gambia has become powerless. They can't do anything to stop the Golden Lead or correct them or rectify them or reprimand them. This is what happens when you sell your soul. You should never sell your community short. You should never sell your individuals, your citizens short. Your citizens are paramount. They come first before any other thing when you negotiate contracts between the government and companies. You look at the communities. It starts with individuals, it comes to communities, and it transcends. Yeah, goes beyond communities to a national state. The whole nation is now complaining about the shortage of fish. The whole country is complaining about the shortage of fish. This is not just Gunjur people. This is not just Mandinari people. This is not just Batukunku people. In fact, the trawlers have now gone inland. We saw them at Denton Bridge. For all you know, they've got smaller boats that go upstream, up and down the River Gambia, because Buyam, where I grew up, where fishermen used to throw away the bonga, throw away a lot of fish and only kept the shrimps and the other luxury items, the high-end items. There's fish shortage in Buyam right now. Kamanka, next to my village, Arankon, where I come from. Fish shortage everywhere. We used to have tilapia and other things, very cheap. Very cheap. You can't get them. Apparently, the Senegalese are coming inland now with their fishing boats, even up to Fonyi-Jaro, Kamanka, the riverside village next to mine, 1 point something kilometer away from my village, Arankon. The Senegalese boats are coming inland now into our rivers and doing the double net trawler, double net fishing system, catching all our fish to send it to France. They're not feeding Senegalese people. They're sending it to France. The EU, they're calling. EU is not EU. They said Gambia had a deal, fishing deal with EU. We heard our fisheries minister state that the Gambia and Senegal has a cross-border fishing agreement. Yet there was a shooting near Kartong, in Kartong and Abene, between Gambian forces and Maritime Protection Forces of Senegal a few days ago. There was a shooting. Why? Because they accused Gambian local fishermen. This is not industrial fishermen from the Gambia. This is local fishermen who can't catch fish anymore in Gambian waters, who've gone a little bit into Senegalese water to catch fish for domestic consumption. So if there's a cross-border agreement to fish, like the Senegalese are doing in Gambian waters, in fact, Senegalese are selling our fishing licenses to the EU and to the Chinese on behalf of the Gambia. The same thing they're doing to our oil, the claimed oil. Senegalese are doing these deals on behalf of the Republic of the Gambia. Why can't the Gambia sort out our own deals? Why does Senegal have to represent us? So the EU is paying Gambia 6 million for something they're making over 36 million from. What they're making is a guaranteed 36 million. That's what the EU is making from the 6 million that they're giving us. But who's policing our deep waters? Deep sea fishing is beyond Gambian Navy capability. It's beyond Gambia government capability. They're getting a minimum of 36 million euros. We make 6 million euros. They make 36 million. That's minimum. We don't know whether they're getting more tons, double the amount of tons that they agreed with the Gambia government. Who's there to police them? Who's there to police the Chinese trawlers? Who's there to police the Senegalese trawlers? They depleted our fish in the ocean, and now they're going upstream into the mouth of the River Gambia, to Denton Bridge, to Buyam, to Fonyi-Jaro, Kamanka, and who knows, they're probably doing the same thing because they control the CRR south and CRR north of the Gambia. They control URR. They can come in and shoot Gambians and break their arms and nearly kill them. Take Gambians from Gambian soil and take them to Tambacounda or Senegal to prosecute them, detain them, charge them, torture them. A few days ago, they arrested a Senegalese trooper for peddling cannabis across Gambian territory. Gambian forces arrested them. Yeah, they twisted their arms, forced them to allow the Senegalese trooper to take his matter from Gambian hands and take him to Senegal to be tried. Do you think he's going to get tried? No. He's not going to be tried in Senegal. We saw that ex-Senegalese soldier who strangled a girl in a saloon in Koutou, Kololien. Killed a girl in broad daylight in a saloon. They quietly extradited that Senegalese guy to Senegal. Is he charged in Senegal? Is he in prison now? Nobody knows. This is the loss of sovereignty we face today, brothers and sisters. We must get up and fight with the people of Gunjur because Gunjur is our land. And we must recover our land from foreign domination, from foreign occupation, from destruction of our land by foreigners. We must act, and we must act now. The time is now. Before this end of the year, we'll organize a community action against the government of the Gambia. We must repel this constant destruction, constant depleting, constant invasions of our territory. We must beat back. We must fight back. We must take what's ours. We must own our land, our territory. It's the Gambian people. Where the sovereign nation is the people that are the nation, is the people that are the government. Let's act, and we must act now. Thank you very much. I'll move on to my next topic for today. This is going to be maternal mortality in our hospitals. I've said this before in my previous Facebook Live, that if we come back to government, the APS, and I believe we'll be back in government next year, the one thing that's going to happen is an immediate end to maternal mortality, an immediate cessation, an immediate halt of maternal mortality. How is most of it happening? Simple. No blood to supply our mothers in labor, our sisters in labor, our nieces in labor when they need it the most. They have to wait until they need blood transfusion to start advertising that there's somebody in labor right now who needs blood O group or who needs blood A and B group under an APRC government. This wasn't happening. The rate of maternal mortality, the death of our mothers at birth, it never happened at this scale under the APS, and that's the first thing we're going to halt. It's going to stop, even if we have to pay people to come and donate blood, so we have blood in place, waiting for patients, rather than patients waiting for blood. Patients waiting for blood is a ticking time bomb. That should never happen. We should have all blood group types in our hospitals, even if we have to pay people. And I tell you why there's a shortage of blood right now. Because people are struggling to survive. Transport is expensive. Fares are expensive. To travel to Gunjur or Carnival or wherever the blood bank is to donate has become a luxury now. It's become a mission. Difficult. Under an APRC government will create the environment to encourage people to come on a monthly basis. The soldiers used to donate this blood most of the time. But because the government has neglected the soldiers, Gambian army, they haven't got the courage to go and face the army and say, look, can you help us again in terms of collecting blood, harvesting blood, to ensure all our hospitals have got enough stock of blood. So when our pregnant mothers come, our badly injured patients come in, there's already blood waiting. Patients should not be waiting for blood. No matter how rare your blood group is or blood type is, there must be another person who matches in our country. If we advertise and we refund these people fares, and when they come to donate, we feed them before they go so that they can replenish the energy that goes with donating liters and liters of blood. And we can make these people national heroes, give them badges of honor, advertise it, showcase them, their bravery, their sacrifice, their love of humanity, their love of their brothers and sisters. These are the incentives an APRC government will have in place again. The soldiers wouldn't mind, because the soldiers will be well fed again. They'll be transported again. They'll be given the responsibility of protecting our country and policing our territory and policing every single thing. And we'll make them even more sophisticated now. Indeed, it was the APRC government that trained our forces and gave them an engineering department. We will get sophisticated fishing trawlers. We'll get a sophisticated navy to police the deep sea to ensure any deals that we agree are policed adequately. But when these unconscionable deals come to an end, we will make sure any deal that's signed, fishing licenses that are granted, are in the interest of the Gambia. The Gambia should have a greater share of those fishing licenses going forward. We'll ensure nobody dies because there's a shortage of blood. If you travel from Serekunda or from Brikama and to go to Banjul to donate, you should be given a minimum of $200, plus you should have a meal after your donation or before your donation so that you can donate blood. You get your fare back and maybe even a token to say this is it, and we will celebrate these people. We'll celebrate these people to say, oh, John something has donated blood. It's a regular blood donor. This is a badge. If you jump into any transport or any government department or every supermarket that has contracts with government, if a loaf of bread costs $7 in the Gambia today, because John has got his badge of honor for his sacrifice towards humanity, John can have a loaf of bread for $6. If you go to another supermarket, you should get a discount. If you go on public transport or GTSC, Gambia Public Stuff, you shouldn't be paying the full work fare. John should have a discount on his fare. If John wants to travel from Brikama to Basse and the fare is $100 on GTSC or any other transport, John should pay $90 or $80 to travel. Why? It's because he's sacrificing to go and give up his blood on every single month to help our people. Or on demand, he can just turn up and donate blood. John is well fed and well looked after health wise to ensure he's healthy, and the blood he gives is of benefit to our mothers in labor. But this doesn't have to be an APRC government. Could be a UDP government. This could be an NRP government. This could be a GDC government. This could be even the useless NPP we have right now in government. Considering the amount of money they're embezzling, the amount of mansions springing up, being built by ordinary civil servants who are on $3,000, $5,000 salary, the amount of money they're making, this could be transport for 150 people, 200 people on a monthly basis. Feed them, get them to donate, let the blood wait for the patients in hospital. Don't allow patients to wait for blood in hospital, because a patient waiting for blood is a ticking time bomb. It's going tick, tock, tick, tock. And then that person dies, as you've seen. This week alone, over the last 7 days, I've seen announcements of about 7 young women dying in labor or as a result of poor care at birth while they're giving birth to their babies. No blood or poor medical facilities. And in fact, one of them was transported to the hospital and they neglected her, sent her back to the private hospital. You can't do that. I've seen people arguing that why did she go to the private hospital in the first place? No, you don't argue that when it's a life and death situation. Treat somebody first, save their life first, and then you can bring in accountability issues. That's what should be happening. You cannot be pushing patients who are on their life support, on their last breaths, back and forth because it's a private hospital. Refer them to our main government hospital. No, send them back to the private hospital because that's where they were. No! That is something we cannot condone. That is something we must never allow. That is something that should never happen. Medical ethics, save life first and accountability later. Even if the person is from Senegal, save them first and then accountability later. If you have to chase costs, chase them. We don't want to be chasing lives and losing lives. That should be a thing of the past, regardless of which government is in place. But I know for a fact an EPRC government would put a halt, immediate halt, to some of these things, because we pump money into our health services straight away to ensure this is a thing of the past again. And indeed, it never used to happen when we were in government. We had ultrasound machines under the APRC government. We had MRI CT scans under the APRC government. What happened to them? Did they sell them to private hospitals? Did they give it to Senegal? Did they break down and they didn't repair them? Where are they? No facilities, no medicines, no care, no empathy, no sympathy, nothing. 7 mothers dying at labor in 2020. Not because they had complications or complications of that. Yes, maybe they had, but those ones are something that they can handle. It shouldn't be happening in 2020, not in the Gambia. And it wasn't like that before. Just 4 years ago, it wasn't like that. Where is the care gone? Where is humanity gone? Where's our national pride gone? Where's patriotism gone? Where's saving life at all costs gone? What is wrong with us? Can't we get anything right for once under the Barrow government? Can't they do one thing right? Education is failing. Health is failing. Environment, which we just discussed, is failing. Security is failing. Every single thing is collapsing. People are struggling to get fish now. No meat, no security, no energy supply, no water supply. We can't even get clean drinking water for our downtown areas. What sort of country, what sort of government do we have in place? Why are we sitting and watching these people getting away with it? Where in the meantime, they're building and buying mansions, 1, 2, 3 for civil servants on a $5,000 salary. It's free for all. They do what they like. NAWEC hasn't supplied electricity properly for months, and we're paying car power, the car power ship, $3 million a month. We're paying Senelec $1 million a month, $4 million a month, and we cannot get electricity supply continuously for 12 hours regularly. Latrikunda Jama, Nema Kunku, Senchu, Kotu, some of these areas. Sukuta, of all places. Sukuta is right next to NAWEC headquarters, right next to the sea with a shallow water table. 3 years. You saw that generator we bought and gave to the Sukuta Nema community to sort out their water supply because NAWEC is no longer supplying them water. They had to depend on a borehole that didn't have a generator or solar power to power a borehole. We bought a generator and gave it to that community so that they can have regular water supply. In this pandemic, as important as water is in terms of combating coronavirus, in terms of our religions, both Christian and community, you can't be clean without water. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, how long are we going to sit idly by and watch this happen? How long are we going to allow this government to perpetrate heinous crimes against the community? How long are we going to allow the public good to be eroded by some selfish, disingenuous, greedy, wicked, diabolical people in this current administration? Turn the clock back 2 or 3 years when we started the struggle, the fight. We were called names. Of course, I saw what was coming. I said it 6 days after Jammeh flew out. With all of the things that you can say to Jammeh, his love of Gambia is second to none. He would never have sacrificed Gambian people just like that. Yes, Golden Lead was there before Jammeh, but they weren't doing what they're doing now. To manage waste of a factory is expensive, but it has to be done anyway. They were doing it anyway. They're managing the waste. As soon as he left, they cut corners because they want to save money. They want to operate with as little an operation cost as possible and gain as much profit as possible at the detriment of our environment, at the detriment of our livelihood, at the detriment of our lives. Yes, our lives. Because that dog that bit the official from the National Environment Agency could be a rabid dog. He could have rabies. Our hospitals don't have any medicine. Our theater doesn't even have surgical cream. They don't have surgical gauges. They don't have anything. So if that person was bitten by a rabid dog and he goes to hospital to be treated for rabies, he's going to die or he's going to turn rabid himself. If you cannot cure, you prevent. Prevention is better than cure. Even if you can cure, you're trying to prevent. What is the government doing to prevent damage to our environment, to our livelihoods, to our lives? And this is not even for other people to eat. This is for pigs to survive. And now, for the sake of a dog is more important. The Gambia government hasn't investigated this dog bite yet. Today, I contacted individuals who know this official. No action has been brought yet. No investigation by the police or any other law enforcement agency has taken place so far. So if he died, this official from the National Environment Agency, it would have been a dead dog. A dog is more important. If it's this part of the world, a dog jumps on a human being deliberately, or has been set on a human being deliberately, that dog will be put down forever. They put dogs, aggressive dogs, down in this country in England. They kill them. They shoot them. They put them down straight away. So this dog would have killed the National Environment Agency guy. He could get infected. Our hospitals can't treat him. No, they don't even have paracetamol anymore. They don't have postnatal records, antenatal and postnatal record books. They don't have them anymore. Gambia government's run out of them. They can't print them anymore. They don't have money. Despite all the COVID funds, the 500 million they spent on coronavirus, 700 million, 1.7 billion, 5.8 billion dollars they spent on COVID, fighting COVID over the last 5 months. They can't afford antenatal, postnatal record books for our lactating mothers, for our new mothers. They can't afford them. And these people are dying. When they survive hospitals, when they survive labor in our dead hospitals, they're out there trying to get piece by piece, paper by paper, every time they took their kids to the hospital or the clinic for postnatal care. They can't have it. No paracetamol. The only thing they get now and again is paracetamol in the hospital. No other medication. You go to the hospital, they diagnose you, they send you to a private pharmacy, probably owned by the same doctors. RVH or Edward Francis Moore Teaching Hospital. All our hospitals. We saw Bansang Hospital just a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It went an entire shift with no electricity. Where's the electricity that they stole from Kanilai, from Yaya Jammeh's compound, and said they were taking it to Bansang Hospital? Where is the State House generator, which is a standby generator for the RVH? Jammeh put it there because he cared. Yeah? He put it there because he cared. He connected Edward Francis Moore Teaching Hospital, which is the main referral hospital in the Gambia. He connected it to the State House emergency generator. So every time NAWEC cuts the electricity, the National Water and Electricity Company cuts electricity supply, that generator kicked in, and he was satisfied that the fact that the State House is kicked in and they got supply, the Royal Victoria Hospital, it used to be called, now Edward Francis Moore Teaching Hospital, also had electricity. The hospital goes entire shifts without electricity. The hospital goes entire shifts without water supply. Nurses and doctors have to go to corner shops to buy water to be able to clean patients in our main referral hospital. Ambulances don't have batteries. Oxygen gets short regularly. Yeah, ambulances are breaking down. Just today or last night, a lady died up country because there was no ambulance. The ambulance didn't have any fuel. 2020. And Barrow government was blessed with lots of funds when they came in. The amount of funds that the Barrow government had, if Jammeh had that when he came in newly, you wouldn't have seen any dust on Gambian roads. You wouldn't see soil. You wouldn't see earth in Serekunda. It will all be paved. You'd have seen roads everywhere. Barrow government so far has had over $2 billion goodwill they came with. They were pumped loads of money. Over $2 billion in grants, assistance, loans. You transfer that into dollars. And this is the highest amount any Gambia government has had in the space of 3-4 years, ever. All has gone into the drain. Decimated, incinerated, destroyed, obliterated, totally destroyed. And when they're ready, they come and give us so much noise. They're faffing about the kerfuffle, the cacophony of noise coming from the Barrow government. They are not there for Gambian people, brothers and sisters. They are not there for you and I. They are not there for Gambian people at any single minute out of the 24 hours a day. They are there auctioners. And I tell you this now, that will take me to the airport tariff shortly, because the airport tariff is another tactic. Last week or the week before when I came live, I told you why NAWEC has been deliberately weakened. It's another institution that's been destroyed so that Senegal can take it over. All right? Now our airport has been destroyed so that our tourists can say, oh, we're not going to go to Gambia because they're charging $40 per return ticket. We're going to fly to Senegal instead because Gambia is too expensive. Plus, when you get to the airport, you're going to queue to pay $20 to go in, queue to pay $20 to exit the country. They're killing our tourism industry for the benefit of Senegal, because Senegal has now got flights going from Stansted Airport in the UK to Senegal. They're taking a large chunk of tourists who go to the Gambia, British tourists who go to the Gambia, they're taking them to Senegal now. That's what's happening, brothers and sisters. That's how our country is losing herself industrially, economically, security-wise, territorially. Who are we? Are we useless people? Are we brain dead? Are we spineless? Have we lost our sense of national pride? Where's our Gambianness? Where is our pride, ladies and gentlemen? What are you doing about it? What changes do you want to bring? How are you going to bring about these changes? How are we going to leave partisan politics for once and fight for what is good for Gambia? When are we going to do it? I am ready. I am just waiting for the flights to resume to normal. I'm not going to say anything right now. Like I said before, I don't want to instigate some sort of protest. peaceful protests, demonstrations in my absence. I don't do that. I have to be there myself. I want to do my bit for my country, proudly. I want to regain my country. I want to guard my sovereignty jealously. Brothers and sisters, they've come up with a new tax at the airport last week. You pay $20 to go in, you pay $20 to get out of the Gambia. And straight away I wrote about it and said, I'm not going to pay that levy. Definitely not physical cash. I'm not going to pay that because I know why they came up with the cash payment at the airport. GRA, or the Minister of Finance, told us that government revenue fell from 13 billion where Gambia left it in 2017 January. Gambia revenue was at 13.5 billion. Last year it fell to 11 billion. This year it'll fall further. And I know the coronavirus, yes, we cannot argue too much. But last year, even before the coronavirus hit, our revenue fell by over $2 billion. Do you know where that money went? It's free for all into people's pockets. People are collecting business rates from our vendors at the market, our stores across the roads, by the roadsides, and they're pocketing it. Revenue is being collected, taxes are being collected, and they're pocketing it. We heard what's happening at GRA and the Gambia Ports Authority right now, where people are basically taking port fees or GRA fees and putting them in their pockets. It never used to happen under Jammeh because Jammeh was strict. He was policing government revenue, strictly dealing with perpetrators, dealing with corrupt people, dealing with people who embezzled funds. So 13.5 billion was coming into our coffers. Cool. No problems, no issue. And he was going back into providing 65,000 scholarships for our Gambian youth, especially women who had free compulsory education in our country. Sorry, Mary, can I close this, please? Sorry, guys, there's noise coming in. Yeah? So they're doing that. All right? Our revenue's gone down because people are pocketing it. Now they're telling us when you get to the airport, you must hand them cash to go to your home. And when you're leaving, you pay cash to leave the country. $20. Who's there to police where that money goes? Why can't they transfer those tariffs like many countries do, including the United Kingdom and the United States, to airline tickets? They know if they did that, the money will reach our treasury. The government will take the money. It will reach our coffers, and the government can use that money to develop the nation. No, that's too easy for them. That's not going to build them mansions. That's not going to build them flamboyant vehicles like the Gam Petroleum general manager, who's buying brand new Range Rovers for his girlfriend. That Range Rover gets smashed by his ex, he buys a new one again for the girlfriend. The general manager of Gambia Petroleum. He controls the people around him, gives coupons to media houses so that they cannot report what he's doing. He's buying the investigation team from State House who went to investigate his rampant corruption, excessive corruption that's taking place at Gambia Petroleum now. He owns a few petrol stations in the Gambia, a few trawlers, and apparently in Senegal and Mali, who owns petrol stations there, according to sources. This was a nobody. And nobody in 2017. Range Rover, 2018 Range Rover, brand spanking new. You do your maths. Bought that for a girlfriend first time because Smashy bought another one within the space of a few weeks. So we're going to pay that $20 at the airport when we arrive. We're going to pay it when we leave so that one of those civil servants at Security Port, the company they call Security Port, is a foreign company apparently, that's been paid that money to run our biometric systems at the airport. Biometric systems which were offered in 2017 by Damalok to Gambia government to provide 6 different biometric systems for the Gambia at 6 different entry points. They were going to be at Karang. They were going to be at Soma. What's that border village in Soma again? To provide biometric services. They were going to be at the airport. They were going to be our seaport. They were going to process ID card and passport. Damalok and Pristine offered better deals for the Republic of the Gambia. They refused because Damalok and Pristine didn't have any money to bribe the officials who negotiated on behalf of Gambia government. So what did they do? They gave the contract to Semlex. An ID card that should have been $50 or $100 in Gambia today is costing Gambian people $450. Which average Gambian person is going to be able to afford $450 just for an ID card? Passport, biometric passport is $3,000, $4,000. Which Gambian today, a civil servant, is going to be able to afford a passport at that price? None of them. Oh, but we must give them $20 when we arrive and give them $20 when we leave so that they can pocket it, so that they can build mansions for themselves. Which country are this? What country are we building? This is why Barrow government has moved nowhere since they came in. The 18th project that he's inaugurated since he came to power, the first one being the ferry, Kunta Kinte ferry, the executive ferry. They're all Jammeh's projects. They were announced before Jammeh left there anyway. Fatoto Koina, Lamin Koto Pasamas, Fatoto Bridge, Sukuta Jambanjeli. All those things were announced before Jammeh left. He done the feasibility. We even saw the Banjul Bara Bridge. Jammeh did feasibility studies for it and applied for funding, but he stopped because it wasn't cost effective to bridge Banjul to Bara at that stage. So he put it on the back burner. Barrow came, he saw the paperwork. Oh, I'm going to bridge Banjul to Bara. But the thick, slow president didn't know what was involved in bridging Banjul and Bara. He didn't know. They told him, oh, go and tell Gambian people, you're going to build 60 mosques, you're going to bridge Banjul Bara, you're going to create 20,000 jobs in Combo South. Yeah? You're going to bring free Wi-Fi to Brikama. A bag of fertilizer will be down to $250. A bag of sugar will be down to $700. A bag of rice will be down to $700. What's that? Yet we know that the Gambian president doesn't care. He's careless when it comes to rhetoric. He's useless, totally useless. He said, you can say on the campaign trail stuff you do not mean. In the street language, you can lie to the populace. And indeed, he said, it's a confirmed lie. He told Gambian people by all means, no matter what happens, after 3 years, he was going to call a general election and he'll just be a bystander. He will help conduct the election, make sure it's free and fair. He'll hand over to whoever wins the elections and he'll go back to his real estate business. That's the story he sold Gambian people. When he got into power, the vibe changed. He said, you can go on campaign trail and tell people whatever you want. You don't have to mean it. Oh, hell yes. And he acted like that. Pinpoint accuracy. He didn't deviate from that. He's still telling Gambian people cock and bull stories, telling Gambian people pokies. Or now we have to pay. You know what tourists are going to say? No, we're not going to fly to Gambia anymore. We'll go to Senegal. Senegal's got a lot more to offer than the Gambia. Cheaper to fly to Senegal than the Gambia. Senegal's got beaches on two fronts, Dakar and Ziguinchor end, south and side of Senegal. So why would they fly to Gambia, pay $40 extra, and then queue up at the airport in both directions? Why? They can fly from Stansted to Dakar. No problems. They can fly from other European destinations to Dakar. No problems. Why would they go to Gambia? What's the attraction? It used to be the smiling coast, not anymore. It's the frowning coast now. The murder capital of the world. People are slitting each other's throats on a daily basis on Gambian soil. People are disappearing, especially children, on a daily basis on Gambian soil. Mysterious murders and disappearances are taking place on Gambian soil. The government doesn't care. Barrow doesn't care. The only time Barrow ever visited our public institution is when he was forced to do so, when his government shot and killed the Faraba people. The main referral hospital, which is suffering today, is 20 meters away from Barrow's gate. He's never visited there out of free will. Not that we know of, unless he goes in the cover of the dark and no one saw him. He never visited schools. He never visited military barracks. When he went to military barracks, he was so scared, so timid, cold feet. He went to the military barracks. They're doing parade. He didn't even know which way to turn. He was like this to the soldiers. Man was scared. Barrow was scared. Say, hey, 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 you go in the wrong direction. That's not how we do parade. And he turned the other way and went the other way. Every time he meets our military personnel, people in uniform, he mellows. I've never seen a wet rat. What president do we have? But it's not like we didn't know we had a president like that. We knew we had a useless president. We knew he was not qualified. They lied on his behalf. Brought us the catastrophe we face today. Brought us the destruction that we face today. Gave us a daily calamity that we face today. In the middle of a pandemic, his people are campaigning against the coronavirus emergency regulations, the health regulations. He's continuously, constantly contravening these regulations, breaching them at will with impunity. I saw one of his loudmouths, Dahaba, in Farafenye yesterday or the day before. The video was being shared widely. Group of people, no mask, no social distancing. Promising the people of Farafenye a transformation that they've never seen before. They're going to build Hakalang to somewhere, Nyomi Bridge, Nyomi Road. Well, Dahaba, he said APRC government, no government 50 years done that in North Bank region. That's why he said, for 50 years, the government has failed. But the Barrow government is soon going to build the Hakalang Highway, and Barrow is going to go with a powerful delegation on the 26th of September to go and inaugurate that project. Not inaugurate, to commission it. On the 26th of September, Barrow is going with a powerful delegation with massive crowds to go to our North Bank region to commission that road. So really and truly, the emergency regulations have collapsed. They don't exist anymore. He removed the travel restrictions so that he can go to Niamey in Niger. He removed the emergency regulations so he can go to his village and inaugurate the police station and the mosque and have a party for his wives and his friends and family. He came back, he reinstated it. His party is involved in politics in the middle of a pandemic. People are dying in hospitals. Our elderly population is totally destroyed. But he doesn't care, does he? Does he care? Does Barrow care? No, Barrow doesn't care. Barrow's told you, lies in your faces, that a bag of rice is now $900 and something. When he was asked where that was, so people can go and verify, he didn't know where that was. Brothers and sisters, that airport fee must be scrapped immediately. They're beating down the coronavirus figures right now because they want to open the tourist season. Fair enough. You can open the tourist season, but don't beat down the coronavirus deaths and infections in the country. You're making Gambians think that the coronavirus is gone, and it hasn't gone anywhere. We must reject that $40 levy. Let them send it to the airlines. Let the airlines pass it on to their tickets, because that way we know the money is going to the government, not into people's pockets. Who's secure the port? Why can't the government of the Gambia itself buy these facilities to run biometric systems for itself? Train the youth, create employment, take that revenue yourself, develop the nation, extend the airport. That brings me to the airport extension, the $14 million project. It's not dollars, it's dollars. Those of you who flew out of the Gambia Banjul International Airport between last January when I was there and now, you've seen how the airport was. I've seen it how it is today, following the video from QTV and the photos from our source at the airport. They said they spent $14 million carrying out those cosmetic renovations. That $14 million was supposed to be a totally new extension to the existing terminal. It's OIC money. They were supposed to build a new complex right next to the current terminal to extend our capacity to 500,000 or more passengers per week or per day, or per month, or per year, I don't know. But it was supposed to be an extension of our airport services anyway. Where did they spend that 14 million? Cosmetic renovation. Put a new ceiling, put a new floor, paint the walls, put some decorative lighting, knock some walls in the already existing VIP lounge and make it look bigger. And that's $14 million they spent on that. And that $14 million was still not enough to pay Securiport, the company that will be responsible for the fingerprints and biometric services at the airport. It's called Securiport. We're trying to find out who's behind this deal. It was like a Semlex deal. It's hush-hush, quietly done. Somebody sitting with cool $2 million, $3 million is somewhere. From the back kicks, underhand tactics, under the table deals. $14 million for cosmetic repairs of an airport terminal which was built for an entire price of $10 million, completed in 1998 or 1999. $10 million, the entire edifice, magnificent structure, was built for that. You're renovating it cosmetically, superficial renovations for $14 million. When I saw it on QTV video, I thought they made a mistake. They punched the wrong figures. Then I heard the engineer pronouncing the same figures. Then I saw it published and I said, this cannot be possible. This is outrageous. That's scandalous. $14 million gone, just like that. And they, in fact, they're in debt because they're looking to borrow more money. And because they couldn't borrow more money, they want us to pay for it. Give that money to Securiport so that Securiport can pocket it. Because it's not going to go to the treasury. It will not go to the airlines because the airlines will give that money to the Gambia government, the treasury. They want to do it private. You go and give them your $20, they pocket it. Next minute, mansions will be springing out like the former chief of defense staff, Masani Kinte. 3, 4, 5, 6 mansions in the space of 3 years. Barrow's the same. Ahmad Bai is the same. Batamid is the same. All the ministers are competing in terms of who's built the biggest mansion in Gambia and in Senegal. But we're sitting and watching. We're encouraging them. We're supporting them. If you're not out of your mind or out of a strategy to save the Gambia, you should never support the Barrow government because the man is clueless, the man is spineless, the man is a hater of our country, the man is a threat to the future of the Gambia. He's already affecting the livelihoods of Gambian people. The security of our Gambian people and in people's houses has deteriorated. And it will never be ameliorated under Barrow. Never. Our trade deals have descended into how much can I get out of it rather than what can the country get out of it. Our deals in every department turned into how much can I get out of it rather than how much the country can get out of it. We've turned into balance. We've turned into hopeless creatures. We've turned into destitute. We've turned into a system of a people, of a bunch of people. Our economy has descended into total decadence. Oh, make no mistake, we will start beating back. Oh, don't you worry about it. We will start beating back and we will not stop until the government takes Gambian people seriously, until the government knows that we're the sovereign beings. We own the country. We employ them, we pay them, we tell them what we want our money to be spent on. One of them is to protect our environment, flora and fauna. One of them is to protect our mothers at labor. One of them to ensure we're safe in our houses. One of them to ensure our territory is not being invaded, our people are not being shot and killed and hurt and tortured by an illegal occupying force. Senegalese forces should never police our Gambian soil. They're there to protect the external invasion of our country. Even though they're there illegally. We heard my father say they're paying them $8 to $14 million, but he failed short of saying whether this $8 to $14 million they're paying the extra contingent of Senegalese forces is monthly or annually or every 3 years. He didn't say. In any case, taking your foreign exchange, $8 to $14 million, and giving it to a country to boost their foreign exchange, paying Senelec on top of the $1 million a month, and paying car power on top of the $3 million a month. These are some of the resources we will divert and halt maternal mortality. Change its course. These are the things we'll use to stock our hospitals with trained specialized medical personnel, with high-end equipment like Jammeh, with CT scans, MRI scanners, ultrasounds, X-rays, state-of-the-art ambulances operating proper operating systems. Shortage of fuel will no longer be a problem. Poor batteries that start up engines of these ambulances will no longer be a problem. Security in our households will not be a problem. And Gambians know, not under the APRC government, you were safe in your property. No burglar is going to come to your property and tell you to give up your mobile phone, your flat screen, your money, your pride to you, right in front of your family with a knife on your throat and get away with it. Oh, we will resume street patrols. Our police will be well equipped. Our army will be well equipped. They'll be proud that the sovereignty of the nation will be laid back in their hands. Oh, they will be proud. Oh, our nation will be another nation, a beacon of how a nation should be run, to empower our youth and women. And Gambian women, I want you to understand one thing. All of you that have been complaining, the feminists, claiming Jammeh did this, Jammeh done that, he's done this. You guys need to take a step back and think where you were in 1994. Because there's never been a government in the Gambia that's given women such a platform, supported them, made women's education compulsory. I wish my older sisters were younger and they went to school when Jammeh came. They would have been educated now, running their own departments, running their own businesses, their enterprises, or maybe running the nation. Because when they went to school under the PPP, under Jawara, education was not compulsory. School fees were extortionate at the time. You can't go to high school as a poor kid unless you got a scholarship. It was impossible. We all faced it. I was little then, but I faced it. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, we must take Gambia back to where it was under APRC and do even better than that. With the amount of money the Barrow government was pumped with when they came into today, we would have been acres. Nobody would be talking about Jammeh coming back now. Nobody will be calling for Jammeh's reinstatement. But you know what they always say? When people are suffering, they look back to their best days, when they had a good time, when the time was better for them, and that was under Jammeh. That's why they're calling for Jammeh's reinstatement. And right now, I believe it might be a way of us restoring parity, restoring our sovereignty, restoring our territorial integrity under Jammeh. Let him regulate the service. If he wants to retire and go and enjoy his retirement in his farm in Kanilai or go somewhere else, it's up to him. But the people are calling for his reinstatement. It's a widespread call now. It's not APRC people. It's not Fonyi people. It's not Jolas. This is widespread, even in random interviews from our media houses in the Gambia. Random interviews, they tell you Jammeh must come back. Under Jammeh, this never used to happen. Under Jammeh, this never used to happen. We're in that situation now. And that brings me down to the case of the Gambian media houses taking $15 million bribe money from the government. $15 million the government gave to private media houses in our country. And they took it. And they think they're going to be independent. They're going to hold the government accountable. They're going to hold the government's feet to the fire. Well, they're not doing that. They've not been doing that for a long time anyway, because Barrow accused them of going to his office, soliciting funds for favorable stories. He said it open. For all of Barrow's problems, one thing we like about him is he tells us about his own rot. Barrow came to Gambian people not once, not twice, to say, look, I was not cut out to be a president. I'm not competent, but I have a team to help me. And that team is letting him down, seriously letting him down. They know he's empty. They know he's incompetent. They know he's uneducated. They know he sleeps half the time. They're profiting from that. Rapidly, they're amassing as much wealth as possible before he leaves office. Because for Barrow, he cannot intervene. He cannot investigate. He cannot enforce. He cannot dismiss. Even when he dismisses you, he puts you somewhere else to go and steal more. So he gave the media house $15 million, hush-hush money, Yeah? I put muzzles on your mouths. And we've seen a classic example of what happened. The media houses went to parliament to cover one of the most important, and I repeat, to cover a vital, or like the street language in England, to cover a vitally important event in the history of New Gambia. That's the tabling of a bill of the new constitution, the draft constitution, I should say. As important and as monumental, as gigantic that event was at Parliament, the Gambia government banned private media houses in the Gambia from covering it. What is the government hiding on that draft constitution that they don't want the populace to know, that they don't want the populace to understand, that they don't want the populace to see? This is what happens when you sleep with the devil. He'll come and kill your daughter or your son, and you can say nothing about it. You will not expose him because you made a pact with the devil. The $15 million is plus former, because that Secretary General of the Gambia Press Union apparently is a secretary to the President's office or Barrow government, or was a secretary to the Barrow's office or Barrow's presidency. How are you expected to operate independently and hold the government account, put the government on the back foot in situations that the Gambians face right now today? No, they're not. They only allowed the national broadcaster, GRTS, Gambia Radio and Television Services, QTV, which is raking in Gambia government contracts, and the iAfrica. The iAfrica is kind of balanced. They cover the opposition, yes, they cover APRC events too, but they cover government stuff. So I don't have any issues with them. But QTV, GRTS, yes, GRTS is national broadcaster. Obviously, they'll have the first pick. But why are you blocking the private media that have nothing to do with government from covering the tabling of the constitutional bill at National Assembly? What's there that you're hiding? We can speculate, I can guess, because when that draft was submitted, when it was published, we saw the presidency express their utter dismay and disappointment with the draft constitution. And according to strong sources, my sources at the corridors of power at State House, they said Barrow hired 6 lawyers after the publication of the draft. At this stage, the draft should not have been tampered with unless it went to Parliament and Parliament sought amendments in certain sections. Barrow hired 6 lawyers to look at the draft constitution and suggest changes to that draft constitution that favor him. So they spent $116 million, $166 million on the CRC, the Constitutional Review Commission. That's the money we know of. And then Barrow hired 6 more lawyers on government coffers to look at the already published draft so that they can change it or suggest changes that favor him, the incumbency. Who knows? Maybe they changed those sections already. One of those lawyers is allegedly Batambedu's brother, Sirif Tambedu, who was also involved in the dodgy Semlex deal between Semlex and the Gambia government. He's part of the 6 special lawyers that were hired to go and look at the draft constitution so that they can suggest amendments that favor the incumbency, the Barrow government. The same Sirif Tambedu who's involved in the 50, 20 million, whatever figure they decide on, because Gambia government is not telling us. But we heard this $49 million deal, a government prosecution given to private lawyers, because Batambedu is serving his brother, isn't it, and his mates on government paycheck, government payroll. So now, what do they want? What don't they want the private media to see on the draft constitution? What did they change? It was published before. We said it was dead in water, and the APRC said they're going to vote against it. Plagiarized our 1997 constitution. Plagiarized the Kenya constitution for $166 million. What a scam. What a con. What a bunch of greedy, wicked, evil people. But this is what we face in New Gambia. This is New Gambia for you. This is what's happening. Who is there to police it? The president himself is involved. He's the summit of the heist. Oh, yeah, he's the tip of the diamond. Corruption diamond. Within just a few months of being in office, he sent his son to study in an American university or college. Apparently, he bought a mansion in the United States. Within 7 months in office, he started building his mansion in Mankunda. He built a second one, which incorporates a police station, built a mosque, and all whatnot. But done nothing for Gambian people yet. His education minister, the blind bat, the warped brain of the education minister, went and told Gambian people that the Barrow government built a story building for a school for the first time. So they failed to tell Gambia. Again, this is politics of deception, lying in broad daylight. That Bashir College is not a government project. It was built by MRC Holland, a private charity, philanthropy. Just misleading the people. We saw the corruption at Gambia Tourism Board, including Hamad Ba, who's also involved in Janneh Commission and the property seized from Janneh and their sale. 1.1 billion is gone missing from that purported claimed recovered money by Batam. 1.1 billion is gone missing. The appeals court has told them to return Janneh's property. They had no right to sell them. Where are those properties? Where is the money, the 1.1 billion? Where did it go? He only gave TRRC 150 million, apparently, for what? TRRC hasn't even made their recommendations yet, and he's giving them 50 million. To do what? And TRRC has already been funded by UNDP. So why are you giving them taxpayers $50 million? What for? The airport levy of $40 must be scrapped. We shouldn't pay. Maternal mortality must be halted. Destruction to our environment must be halted. We need to stop this, and we need to stop it now. We need to take direct action if the government is not interested in enforcing our sovereignty, emphasizing our sovereignty, putting the authority down. We must stop it. And I'll be involved in its halt. I can promise you guys that. Senegalese army must pay Gambia Immigration or Prison Services for the destruction they put on their vehicle, the tension in Buyam today. They put strips on the road and damage their vehicle, and now the firewood that they've got to come and run government services, those government services will not run for a long time. Even when the courts order that these trucks should be given back to drivers, the Senegalese army is refusing to give them. Senegalese army guy or security person was arrested, yeah, for drugs trade in the Gambia. They twisted Gambian government's arm and took him back to Senegal. But Senegal is arresting people on Gambian soil, shooting them, killing them. Cross-border agreement for fishing led to tensions in Kartong. Gunshots heard between our Gambian army and the Environmental or Maritime Protection Agency in Senegal. So where's Gambia? Where's our deal in a cross-border fishing deal? We saw the defense minister of the Gambia saying it's a cross-border agreement between Senegal and Gambia. Senegal can invade our territory, shoot our people, kill them, but we can't do the same. No, you're not even allowed to take one bag of sugar across Senegal. You're not allowed to take one bag of rice across to Senegal. Yeah, but cross-border joint security, cross-border fishing deals. Senegal is selling our fish on our behalf. Senegal is selling our oil on our behalf. Bodyguards of Gambia's president are Senegalese. The president's economic advisor is Senegalese. The president's political advisor is Senegalese. Senegal runs our military barracks. Senegal knows the entire layouts of our state house. They said Jammeh put chemicals in our air conditioners when he left. A propaganda. Stupid people believed it. You know why? Because Senegal wanted to go into every bit of our state house, which they know now anyway. They know how our president snores. They know how he sleeps. They know how he eats. They know how he sleeps. Yeah? They know which of his wives is going to sleep on the night. He's got 2 wives. If he goes to the first wife, they know, oh yeah, the obese bloke is in his first wife's house today. Tomorrow they say, oh, the fat bloke is in the second wife's house today. Tomorrow the sleepy person is snoring in his house. The Senegalese know. They're recording him, they're taping him. In fact, one of the Senegalese forces was caught recorded on video saying Barrow has been implanted by Macky Sall. Barrow cannot do anything. Barrow will be acting in Senegal's interest. Yeah, Senegalese soldier was taped saying that. And the Senegalese public are saying that today. That Barrow is a stooge. Barrow is a puppet. Macky Sall's got the strings. He puts the strings, Barrow goes like, dances like a proper clown. And indeed, his government is a clown circus. It's comedy, calamity, destruction, catastrophe. The worst we've seen. But you know what? We've got power in our hands and we must change it. We've got things that we can do to turn the direction of our country for the better. And we must do that. But first, we must stop the destruction right now. Otherwise, the bill of repairing our coastline, contaminated land treatment is very expensive. And I can tell you for a fact that the Gambia government can afford it. They cannot afford to treat our soil. They can't afford to treat our water. We don't have that capability. So what do? We stop the further destruction and we can repair it at a later date. They start creating a civil rights group, a genuine civil rights group, not scammers like the Occupy Westfield, Dafadoi people. We don't want those people in charge of our civil rights activities when it comes to putting the government to account. Those sexual opportunists, women beaters, women abusers, that we just seen some of them exposed, scandals, disgraced by the police, disgraced themselves. Those people should not be in charge of our affairs. The victim center should not be in charge of our affairs. We need to create a cross-party national group which will stand up in the interest of the Gambian people, bipartisan, inter-party. Now is the time. I am ready. You be ready. Your brother be ready. My brother will be ready. My aunt will be ready. Your uncle should be ready. Gambia should be ready to pressure the government to change its direction and remove this government at the earliest opportunity. Remove them. Our lives are at stake. Our nation is at stake. We have an independence fight. It's going to be a governance issue now. First, it was incompetent and poor governance. Now, it's a fight to regain our sovereignty. I've been here too long. I got to end this Facebook Live. I wanted to talk about the Gambia Immigration Department and their Director General, who's promoting his wife and his friends at the expense of people who were recommended by the promotion panel. Yes, the Immigration Department has failed. Again, the security sector reform has failed. My party failed to implement it. My Sanikita failed to implement it. Immigration Department, Prisons Department, all failed. Total failure in Barrow government.
I'm going to go to bed.
You're going to go to bed?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm just going to be in bed reading my book.
Okay. So, what's left? What are we doing, brothers and sisters? We will set a civil rights movement, cross-party. There'll be no APRC, UDP, GDC, DOI stuff here. We call it a citizenship action group, or whatever name we call it, but we will do something. We will force the government to tear up some of these contracts if they are unconscionable, or stop the Golden Lead's operations. If Golden Lead has got permission to damage our environment, we've got permission to be able to stop the damage to that environment. In fact, right now, as we speak, we're doing the same thing right now. As a criminal lawyer, we're representing Justice Champion. I'll share this with you guys at a later date. We're doing a fight for bunnies, where Dolce & Gabbana, a designer, a renowned designer, a big designer worldwide, is killing rabbits for their fur. Yeah? We're taking action against, or we're defending some of the people who went out to protest against Dolce & Gabbana. Why? Because Dolce & Gabbana is damaging the life of rabbits for the sake of building or stitching fur jackets and fur clothing for people who want to wear fur and look posh, look rich and all that. Not. We're defending those people who went to protest. If an agency, an entity's got permission to damage lives and the environment, the public have got rights to stop that agency or entity from damaging the environment. If Golden Lead has got the permission to damage the environment around Gunjur, Batukunku, Mandinari. We have every right to stop that damage to our environment. It's public land, public property. Doesn't belong to Golden Lead. Will not go to their private property, but we've got every right to go to public places like that road, that pipe, that lagoon, and stop them discharging those effluents into our lagoon and destroying fish, destroying mangroves, destroying our coastline, and destroying everything that Gambia was beautiful and known for. Our flora and fauna must be protected at all costs, and it must start now. Let's create something that by this December, if this carnage is still taking place, we will come out in large numbers and head to Golden Lead Factory. If that fails, we'll go to the Fisheries Department, or we start with the Fisheries Department and go to Golden Lead, and even go to the front of State House. We will be peaceful, we'll be organized, our campaign will be sustained, nobody will be intimidated. We will do it successfully, and we'll force the government to make a U-turn. We'll make the government prioritize Gambians over other people. It must happen. Barrow must go. Barrow cannot change our country. As long as Barrow is there, Senegal will continue to do this for our people. No doubting that. Oh, hell, no doubting that. Barrow cannot turn this around. He's finished. He's so, what do you call it? He's in Macky Sall's clothes. Clutched him so hard. Gripped him, tight fist. He has no wiggle room. Macky Sall tells him what to do. Senegal will tell him what to do. That's because he made a pact with the devil. That's what I told you. You cannot make a pact with the devil. He'll destroy your children one by one, and you cannot talk because you made a pact with the devil. Your children will go one by one. That's what Barrow did when they were at the King Fahad Hotel during the impasse. Swore on foreign land. First person to declare war on peacetime Gambia. Gambia was not invaded. There was a cheaper and quicker way of resolving the election impasse in 2016. Go to court. No, they intimidated the judges that were coming from Nigeria and the judges on Gambian soil. Gambia Bar Association, I saw their president come out and saying, oh, under the current statutes, the current laws of the Gambia, himself and Reed Brody, the white man who only hunts black people, listen to this, the white man who only hunts for black people, Reed Brody, next door to him is Donald Trump, next door to them is Obama and George Bush, who committed war crimes, genocide and other things. He will leave those people because they're white or they're supreme. He'll go and hunt African people, black people, because we are fools. He wants to go and hunt Yahya Jammeh. And which other fool is he using to do that? Salou Tal, the president of the Gambia Bar Association. You see what I said before, what the French do? To assassinate our presidents, to kill them, to destroy our lives and livelihoods. They use black faces against black people. Black on black, we front it, we damage each other, and they're the actors behind the scenes, giving us the tools to destroy each other. I saw Salou Tal of the Gambia Bar Association saying there are no laws currently in the Gambia that they can use to prosecute Jammeh. And international law can't prosecute Jammeh right now because the international court that will prosecute Jammeh as an individual is the International Criminal Court. But there were no war crimes under Jammeh. There was no genocide under Jammeh. So what are you going to prosecute him for? The threshold has not been fulfilled, according to prosecutors at the ICC. Gambia laws give Jammeh immunity, and they mentioned the immunity clause that covers Jammeh, the same immunity that Jawara enjoyed. And I'm glad Jawara had a beautiful end to his life. I am very happy. I was disappointed with PPP. Oh yeah, I'm disappointed with PPP. It's the worst government we had in Gambia's history. The worst ever. But I'm happy that Jawara had a beautiful, rosy ending to his life. Thanks to the APRC government. Thanks to Yahya Jammeh and PPP top brass. I saw Papa Njai blabbing about, yelping, barking, howling about how Jammeh must be tried and pardoned. Judging Jammeh before he even gets charged for anything. Under what laws exactly, Papa Njai? You're barking, you're yelping, you're howling. Oh, He must be tried first, and then we can pardon him later. So you've already judged that Jammeh is guilty. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't have mentioned the word pardon. You judged Jammeh already. You're the judge, jury, and the enforcer. PPP should be grateful because we heard from Edward Singati, Sana Sabali, and the junta guys in 1994. They were going to kill all the loudmouth OJ and other people, BB Dabo, slaughter them. They're going to take all the top officials, director generals, managing directors, ministers. They were going to be taken to the firing squad and slaughtered. And Sana Sabali was not going to stop. Edward Singati was not going to stop. They were both bloodthirsty youths. They wanted it to happen. Who stopped it? Jammeh. So if I were Papanjai, I should be saying, look, Jammeh offered the PPP a carte blanche. He didn't even investigate 1981. He thought, you know what, there's so much that we need to do for this country. Let me build Bundung Highway, which is his first project. Let me build North Bank Highway. Let me build primary schools. Let me do this. Let me just deal with the Commission of Inquiry, Al-Ghali Commission, because that will not stop the government doing its own business. And Jammeh set about transforming the face of the Gambia like nothing we've seen before. Oh, Papanjai, he must be tried first. And Salih Tal is being used by Reed Brody, the white man who only hunts for black dictators. He's only interested in black people because black people are easy to manipulate. You can use black people to suck each other's asses. Of course, Francis done it. 22 presidents assassinated, overthrown by the dark forces, the deep state. Yet none of them, no face of any of them was white. Do you think Libyan people had the capacity to track and trace Gaddafi and assassinate him by themselves? Do you think that's Libyan people who done it? No. There were special forces operating behind the scenes who tracked and traced Gaddafi and arrested him. But whenever the cameras came, they took the back seat and pushed the Libyan people to the front of that lens to make it look like it's the Libyan people who tracked and traced Gaddafi and killed him. Saddam Hussein is the same. Yeah, Jammeh's removal is the same. Kwame Nkrumah, Sankara, Lumumba, Modibo Keita. They tried everything against Sekou Touré. Oh, how they destroyed our independence heroes. Who are we? What's wrong with the black man? Brothers and sisters, liberate your minds. It's about time. Where does your food come from? Where does your medicine come from? Where do your supplies come from? Are we going to be proud of the black man? Are we going to be proud of our sovereignty? Are we going to guard our sovereignty? Are we going to feed ourselves? Are we going to treat ourselves? Are we going to protect our environment by ourselves? Are we going to protect our pregnant ladies, women at labor, our patients? Are we going to keep our fish to ourselves or sell it at a good price so that we can develop our nation? Scrap the airport levy or put it on the airline tickets. None of that money. The GRA, Gambia Ports Authority, anywhere people come in contact with money physically, the APRC government is going to change them. We're going to go smart. You pay via your card, or you pay online, or you go to your bank, or you put it in a bank account online. Smart systems. That's what we're going to bring in. Smart systems. Our postal services will be rejuvenated, revitalized, reinvigorate our systems, make the government revenue collection efficient. We can turn our country around. And indeed, the face of Gambia today is APRC. Any magnificent, anything ginormous, anything grand that you see on Gambian soil today was implemented by the APRC government. And I'm glad we're not arguing about it now. Everyone now agrees today's Gambia under Jammeh would have been different from what we've seen now. It's a far cry from what we've been subject to. The demeaning of our Gambian lives. People die and they say RIP. Next lady dies RIP. You die delivering a baby, or just after delivering a baby, or just before delivering a baby. Harrowing, horror show, gut-wrenching. soul destroying, preposterous, gruesome, grotesque. These things are avoidable and they must not happen in 2020. No way. Even charities like FAD, GDHI, individuals are doing a lot more for our people than the government of the Gambia. Yet the government of the Gambia has got this big iron case, this big safe to save Gambian lives. And they're reneging, they're failing, they're falling apart, we're in pieces, we're dying, avoidably. I've gone on for too long. The change is now. We must act. I don't want to stay online for another minute or so. We must act, and the time is now. Barrow must go, Gambia must be regained. We face an independence fight, and I repeat, right now we're fighting to take our baby, Gambia, clutch him from the jaws of the Senegalese, the French, and the Chinese. I am tired of crying because of seeing photos of mothers dying in labor, mothers dying after delivering their babies, mothers dying in the process of delivering their babies. Tired of seeing it. Avoidable. Right now, the only hospital that has 100% success rate is the Buyam Hospital. And thanks to the chairman and the leadership of the Buyam Hospital, the CEO, and the help coming from other people, join hands to save a baby. FAD. We're making sure Buyam Hospital is now one of the best equipped, and is serving Bansan to Brikama, including Casamas. We want to do the same for RVTH, Farafenya Hospital, Bansang Hospital. There's no way a hospital in the Gambia today should go an entire shift with no electricity. This is disheartening. It's destroying me. It's destroying many people. We're not going to RIP anymore. We're going to rip into the government's flesh right now, like those Chinese dogs that ripped into the flesh of the NEA inspector. We must rip into the government's flesh and force them to do what we want them to do. The time is now. We're not going to say Allah is great. Ya Allah Bahu. Allah Waratale, Emite Kele Kele. No! God says make an effort and He'll augment it. Make an effort and He'll shower His blessings. God is great. God will deal with it. Lay Khan at a Kela. Do let's get up and sort these things out. By this December, we should have large crowds on the streets of the Gambia when coronavirus is gone. Again, this is the problem with encouraging stuff like that. Our medical services, our hospitals are dead. We don't want to encourage large groups because that would be counterproductive. Let NPP go and do their campaign. That's their problem. Because they're going with a high-powered delegation to North Bank region to politicize the building of the road. If we come out in our thousands, and I know thousands are willing to come out because I'm in contact with genuine rights organizations, not the fake activists who are abusing women and beating their wives. I'm talking with genuine people in all political parties who now want to rest their partisanship to one side and fight for Gambia, at least for the time being until the elections next year. We should come out in our hundreds and thousands and have that blockade, a stampede. When I say stampede, it's a peaceful one, not where people stamping on each other and killing each other. We should blockade the nation until the government takes us seriously, until we get our fish back, until we get our territory back, until our hospitals are equipped, until they start paying blood donors to go and donate, and there's blood in advance in our hospitals, until golden lead pipe is removed and their operation ceased, until they produce a comprehensive, adequate waste management system. These are not far-fetched. They are not beyond achievable. It's our country. We must do it. If we don't do it, we have nobody else to blame. I am ready for it. You be ready for it. Your uncle be ready for it. My uncle is ready. Your aunt be ready for it. My aunt is ready. We wait for the coronavirus to subside, to wane, and we will mount sustained campaign against this government. If they don't back down their sale of the Gambia, we will not back down and will not go back to our houses. We will have sustained campaign. We will have our own food, our own drinking water. We go home, sleep, wake up the next morning, the same thing. There will be no activity other than trying to put the government back into the corner where they were supposed to be. Serve the Gambian people first. Gambian people before anything else. The Gambian Republic before anything else. We are not a province. We are a republic. Our forefathers, independence heroes, will be quaking, shaking in their graves, twirling violently, and swirling violently in their graves at the news of what Gambia is today. We are the 11th province of the Republic of Senegal. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. We were the same region before, but it must be done to the benefit of both countries, mutually, equally. This is not symbiosis. This is parasitism. But this is reverse parasitism, because with parasitism, you get the smaller one sucking the blood of a bigger one. What we have in the Gambia is reverse parasitism. It's the big one sucking the little one, so it's dried us up. We've got nothing left. Just imagine a whale eating a snapper. Yeah? That's what's happening in the Gambia now, Gambia and Senegal. It's a whale eating a snapper or a tilapia. That's what's going on. It should have been the other way around, tilapia picking the crumbs from the whale. Commensalism. Or it becomes symbiosis, both ways. One benefits from the other. What we have is abuse, exploitation, enslavement, colonialism, occupation, the lot. And on that bombshell, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I'll end today's Facebook Live. Thank you very much for Gunjur Online for streaming this on your platform. Thank you very much to all of you that have tuned in. We must take action, and the time is now. My only worry is that I'm not on Gambian soil and we've got coronavirus. And we've seen how it's killing our elderly population. The death rates we had in the Gambia over the last 2-3 months is nothing we've seen before. The first time ever. On that bombshell, I'll end this Facebook Live. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you tuning in. This is not just tough talk. Action will be taken, and I'll be on the ground to ensure I play my part. And I promise that. If I live long, fit, and healthy, this will be done once coronavirus has been declared no longer a pandemic, no longer a public emergency in the Gambia or across the globe. It must be done, and we must do it. Talk is cheap. Talk is finished. Now is the time for action. We must act. We must be bombastic. We must be belligerent. We must squabble. We must bicker for the right reasons. Let's do it. Let's do it now. Thank you very much, and good night.
Everyone has a purpose, and it is this purpose you pursue that defines you. The reason why we, Dalaba Ecolodge, located on the Gunjur Brikama Highway, is here is to create peaceful environment and conducive atmosphere for our esteemed guests, both nationals and those who choose the Gambia as their final destination. Our accommodations are modern standards, well-spaced and well-ventilated seminar and conference rooms. There is no other excellent venue for your birthdays and wedding programs than Dalaba Eco Lodge. So come and experience our affordable luxuries in sustainable environment. Our rooms are inside our gardens filled with sweet-smelling flowers and cozy feelings of nature. Frequent visits to the Gunjur sandy beach with our wonderful transport services at no cost is all the time available. To enchant your stay furthermore, at Dalaba Eco Lodge, we create the following: bird watching, bike rentals for visiting local markets, and many other places of interest, city tours and boat trips, etc. For more details, you can take the digits 00220-360-7043. Email dalabaecolodge78@gmail.com. Facebook Dalaba Eco Lodge Gambia. Book your places now to experience memorable adventures one cannot afford to miss.
Gambia may be the smallest country in Africa, but it will host the second largest gathering of world leaders in 2022. To successfully host the OIC Summit and put the Gambia on the global stage, the government of the Gambia set up OIC Gambia to mobilize resources for the implementation of key development and infrastructure projects on a scale never seen before. 20 new roads will be constructed across the country, and the Bertel-Harding Highway will be expanded into a dual carriage highway of 2 lanes on each side from the airport to Sting Corner. All people in the Gambia deserve clean water and a constant flow of electricity. Therefore, an entirely new water system will be constructed, including new transmission and distribution networks to meet the increasing demand. In order to provide a more reliable supply of electricity, the OIC Gambia project will replace and double the capacity of the NAWEC transformers and overhead electric cables. We will equip the police with modern apparatus and technical training in an effort to keep the streets of the Gambia safe. By building the largest international conference center in the region, a 5-star hotel with state-of-the-art facilities, first-class mobility services, and improving the VVIP experience at the Banjul International Airport, OIC Gambia will position the Gambia as the leading conference destination in West Africa. With our partners in the tourism sector, we will reinforce the preeminent position of our nation, the Smiling Coast, as a go-to destination. The OIC Gambia will create strategic partnerships that calls for the involvement of local talent and businesses as a matter of requirement. In short, OIC Gambia projects will create jobs, boost commerce, accelerate growth, improve the urban outlook and lifestyles of many families across the Gambia. So let's support the OIC Gambia as it prepares us for one of the biggest global events. OIC Gambia, building today for a better tomorrow.